This US remake of Peep Show is absolutely awful.
Awesome! That's me!
Peep Show is a hugely popular British sitcom which ran for 9 series from 2003 to 2015. It's about 2 guys who share a flat together, the uptight and awkward Mark and the directionless party animal Jeremy. The unique thing about the show is that it's filmed from the characters' points of view, and you get to hear the main character's thoughts.
This is okay. This is just a moment that'll haunt me forever.
On American TV, there's a strange phenomenon where any British show that's popular enough gets a remake. I've never understood this. As we speak the same language, they could easily just show the British version on US TV. I guess they assume that comedy doesn't translate, but it's interesting that the phenomenon only goes one way. You never get British remakes of US shows. Personally, I think that the US version of The Office is better than the original, but most of the US remakes are absolutely terrible. Shows like The Inbetweeners US are famously bad, but that still got made into a whole series. The US version of Peep Show never got picked up after the pilot, so strap in because this one's going to be a rough ride.
This is horrible.
It's the worst thing that ever happened.
The show opens with Mark and Jeremy watching TV and establishes Mark's interest in history.
Hey, look at Winston Churchill. That is a man. Half drunk and he still won the war.
In the US version, Mark is played by Johnny Galecki, who went on to play Leonard in The Big Bang Theory. I think it's really interesting to compare those two characters, although on paper they're really similar in that they're both geeky and slightly awkward and outside of social norms. In practice, they're both very different. Mark is far more awkward, stuffy and easily worked up, whereas Leonard has always seemed a lot more confident despite being awkward at times. Mark and Jeremy then have an argument about deleting TV recordings.
What happened to the real world I TiVo'd?
I must have accidentally deleted it.
You can't accidentally delete anything. It asks you like 5 times, are you sure you want to delete? Are you sure you want to delete? Are you sure, you lying son of a bitch, that you want to delete?
This one feels the wrong way around to me. You should expect Mark to be the one getting angry about things being deleted. The argument ends when their neighbour Marcia comes to the door asking to borrow wine because she's on a date.
There's this guy in my apartment, my date. Kind of a date. He sold me a cell phone.
Despite the fact she's on a date, both Mark and Jeremy clearly fancy her and try to flirt with her.
I was on a date last week. She says to me, I have a problem with musicians. And I'm like, whoa, have to say something fast or she'll forget I'm here.
Movies are nice.
This is exactly the sort of thing that Mark would have said in the UK version, but in this version it really falls flat. I think that David Mitchell's nasally, repressed kind of voice really works for the role. The character of Mark works so well because he's really awkward and thinks differently to other people, whereas in the US version he seems far too normal.
He interrupted me. This will not stand.
The slightly archaic language makes this seem more like something that Mark would have thought. The contrast between the two characters is central to the show. Both characters are extreme exaggerations rather than seeming like normal people. Lines like this blur the boundary between the two characters and weaken that contrast. We then get an argument prompted by Jeremy's really weak analogy.
You're just jealous of my music because you're a worker bee, a drone, whereas I am a dragonfly. I fly around.
Bees fly.
Yeah, but I'm colorful, okay? Like a dragonfly, bees got no color. What are you... Yellow. Yeah, well, they're not purple, are they? I don't even know where to start with that.
This is classic Peep Show dialogue that easily could have fit into the UK version. It's the way the lines are delivered that lets it down. It's supposed to be an argument, but both characters just speak to each other calmly. In the UK version, we quite often see extreme levels of rage from the two characters.
No turkey? You fucking idiot, Jeremy! You total fucking idiot! That was your job, you fucking moron!
I guess that's the difference between UK and US sitcoms. I can't think of any American show where the characters get that angry. Next we see Mark taking a bus to work and getting his hand stuck under his colleague Sophie. This is an exact recreation of a scene from episode 1 of the UK version of Peep Show. Crucially though, in the US version, the scene starts with Mark boarding the bus. In the UK version, we see Mark rushing for the bus so he can get the same one as Sophie.
She's on there. She's on there. Got to get the same bus home.
This adds a completely different dynamic to the scene. By showing Mark's interest in Sophie, it implies that the placement of his hand might not have been a complete accident. Meanwhile, Jeremy thinks he's written a new song, but it's actually Axel F from Beverly Hills Cop, better known in the UK as the Crazy Frog song. Jeremy then realises that the song already exists and throws the record out of the window. They never explain how he came to realise that the song already existed. I think it would have been better to explore this more and show the moment of realisation, such as with him watching the film. The next day, Jeremy is watching Frankie Goes to Hollywood perform the song Relax on TV, when Mark starts a conversation about him getting a job.
Jeremy, I was just wondering how it's going with you and a job, vis-a-vis getting one. No pressure. Some pressure.
Jeremy's response is that he's focused on his music.
Those guys. One hit and they're living like kings, man.
They actually had 3 hits, but that would be nitpicking.
Hey, it's Teresa with my lice advice, and today I'm going to show you how to nitpick.
Mark then goes to work, and his day starts off with an awkward interaction in the lift. Mark's boss tells him to call him Jerry, but when he does, another lady in the lift tells him off.
You can't call Jerry Jerry.
Oh, no, but he said...
I know what he said and I know what he meant.
If that happened to me, I'd overthink it and get stressed out. So I'm sure Mark is the same. To make things worse, she allows a different guy in the office to call the boss Jerry.
What? Jonesy, why is Erin so much nicer to you?
I hooked up with her last year at the company retreat.
We had a retreat?
Oh, no.
In the UK version, Mark gets bullied at work by Jeff, but he doesn't seem to be unpopular more generally. The Mark in the US version is a lot more normal, so it's not clear why he'd be so unpopular. Mark then sees Sophie at work and remembers that she wore the same sweater a week ago.
You remember what I wore a week ago?
It's a trap. What do I say? I'll just pretend I didn't hear her.
Mark?
Yes?
Well, I think it's sweet you remember what I wore.
I had to shorten it for this video, but there's about 6 seconds of silence, which is absolutely insane. Mr. Beast would have a heart attack if he saw it. When he gets to his desk, Mark finds a drawing left by Sophie and decides to draw one of his own in response. He draws 2 stick figures holding a heart, then decides to ask Jeremy for advice.
Mark, women don't want a nice guy. They want a dangerous guy. A dark guy. They want to be a little afraid.
If this were made today, he'd definitely have a podcast.
They don't want love. They want scary love. Nazi love.
Now you're talking.
This scene is actually the one part of the US version that I think's done better than the original.
That's insane.
In the original, Mark has the idea for the drawing himself. I feel like it makes much more sense for it to come from Jeremy. After leaving the drawing, Mark has a sudden realisation that it's a terrible idea.
A swastika? Nobody ever liked anybody that gave them a swastika.
Just like Jeremy in the song, the show gives no explanation at all for him changing his mind. Back at the flat, Jeremy asks Marcia if she has a fax machine so he can send out his CV. It was 2005, he's not just being retro. To continue the theme of obsolete tech, Marcia gets a call on her landline and has an angry phone call.
No, you do not tell me it's over. I tell you it's over. It is so over. I said it first.
Finally, we get some proper Peep Show level rage.
You want to talk about it? It's just me. Musician down the hall.
Classic Jeremy creepiness. Feels like the show has finally found its rhythm. Back at work, Sophie actually likes Mark's drawing.
I love the way the heart represents how people in the office act to your face, and the swastika is how they spread awful rumors about you, just because you got a little loose at the company retreat in Lake Tahoe.
It was in Lake Tahoe?
Mark then asks Sophie for her number.
Because you understand subtlety. I'm subtle too. Can I have your phone number?
And just like that, the rhythm is lost. This is way too smooth and takes away from the awkward vibe of the character. In the UK version, Mark makes the excuse that he might need the number for work, and he seems really awkward asking for it. In the US version, it seems like he asks for girls' numbers all the time. Having secured her number, as soon as he gets home, Mark calls Sophie and leaves a message.
Hello, Sophie.
Okay, maybe I take back what I said about him being smooth.
This is Mark. From work. It's work Mark, as opposed to play Mark.
It's so awkward. This is exactly what we watch Peep Show for.
I should relax. Like the song says. Relax, don't do it.
So the show's going pretty well, but then they ruin it by having Mark throw out a sports reference.
Free and happy, and it's sickening, okay?
What are you talking about?
This is the show.
The show?
Like at Bull Durham when they go from the minors to the majors in baseball.
I do like that they tried to Americanise it, rather than completely following the UK script. But there's no way Mark would ever make a sports reference.
And what kind of baseball player would be happy with batting 500%?
Any player?
I know nothing about baseball, but I assume he messed up the reference, which is good. But it still feels wrong. They should have Mark make references based on things that he's interested in. They established at the start that the character's a fan of history. I'm sure there's lots of historical references that they could have made instead. The next day at work, Mark is embarrassed to be seen by Sophie, so he hides in the stationery cupboard.
Everything's okay in the closet. I am safe in the closet.
Me when I was 16. Finally, Mark leaves the cupboard and talks to Sophie about the message, but surprisingly she's fine with it.
Mark, it was just an answering machine message.
She tells him not to be embarrassed, but he clearly is.
Didn't tell anyone, did you?
Sure enough, when he gets in the lift, a girl sings Relax.
Relax, don't do it when you want to go to it.
I feel like this would have been funnier if there'd been a bigger gap. Having the two scenes back to back feels like too much of a coincidence. When Mark gets home, he confronts Jeremy about not getting a job.
I guess I'm not getting through to you. Maybe I'm gonna have to let my fist do the talking.
You want to go?
I'm extending a very aggressive invitation to go.
Luckily, before they actually hit each other, Marcia comes in.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Marcia.
Oh, you're letting yourself in now.
I actually love this line. In every American sitcom, the main characters just let themselves into the primary apartment set. I feel like it's great to have a show acknowledge how absurd that is. Marcia goes to the bathroom, and the show ends with the guys making a horrific plan.
Think we can get her drunk?
I'll make some sangria.
And that's it. Although I admit there are some funny moments. Overall, the show feels really lifeless. Even when the dialogue is lifted word for word from the original, it just doesn't hit in the same way. For most of the show, Mark and Jeremy seem far too normal, and it doesn't capture their awkwardness at all. I think it's a feature of UK comedy more generally that it focuses on unsuccessful characters. For example, if Seinfeld was a British show, the main character would be George. Peep Show is set to get another US remake soon, so hopefully they'll learn from the mistakes of this one and do a better job.
Chance would be a fine thing.
If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.